Hey, and welcome to video number 3. We're going to talk about understanding Paint.net's features and tools so that you can get fully acquainted with how Paint.net works, what kind of features that they offer, so that you can dive in with video number 4 to 9. Just gets easier and easier from that point. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Before I move into this area here, I want to talk about the links at the top. So this is pretty self-explanatory, you save file and so forth, and editing is pretty self-explanatory. But when we move into the view section, this allows you to zoom in and out, and of course there are shortcut keys. I prefer to use the shortcut keys to zoom in and out. You can see the actual size. Let's say you're zoomed in and you want to see the actual size. You can do that. What I try to do is when I use Paint.net is to turn this option on, the rollers, because this will give you an idea of how big your picture is and how big your header is. Let's say you want your banner to be 486 by, let's say, 68 pixels, and you're going to need to be 4 over here. So the ruler really helps. So when I get started, I try to turn the ruler on, and you can change the measurements between pixels, inches, and centimeters, but by graphics, usually graphics are measured by pixels. So I just keep it at pixels by default. Under the image section, you can crop to selection, but this will only appear if you have an image. So if you want to have an image and you want to crop it, then you can do that. So let's say, for example, that I make this black and I want to, let's say, crop the selection. So I would just click on this. Let's say that I just want that little itty bitty rectangle. Then I just click on image, crop to selection. What that does is it just takes out everything and it removes everything but it removes everything but that little area that I selected. But I just wanted to show you that. Resize is, of course, resizing the image. Canvas size is, of course, the whole canvas. If I want to flip the image horizontally, I can do that here. I can do that vertically. I can rotate it clockwise, counterclockwise. I can rotate it 180 degrees and so forth. And you can flatten. Flatten means that, let's say you have layers. You have 10 layers on top of each other, and you just want to turn all those 10 layers into one image. You can do that by flattening it. And under layers, this gives you the ability to add a new layer, to duplicate a layer. Let's say you have a layer of a checkbox and you want another checkbox. So you just choose that checkbox and then you can duplicate that layer. Now I'm going to talk more about layers in the future videos on layers. But layers are your friends, and layers definitely make your life easier. Adjustments. So let's say you have an image and you want to make it brighter, or you want to make it black and white. You want to change the contrast. You want to change the curves. You want to change the hue and saturation. You want to invert the colors. You can change the levels. Levels often used if, let's say you take a picture of something and it's really dark, and you can use levels to brighten that photo up without just doing brightness and contrast. And you can posterize this and that. Those are just adjustments. Effects are stuff that you can do to your images as well. For example, let's say you have a picture and you want to convert that picture into an oil painting so that your picture looks like an oil painting. Or you want to turn that picture into a blur. And there's specific types of blurs, as you can see here. Or distort so this is just an effect. All this does is it converts your image into whatever you choose, like red eye removal. If your Picture has a lot of people with red eyes. You know, back in the day, when you take a picture, or even now, you have red eyes and you can remove that. So this gives you the ability to not only change your existing images, but also to tweak and edit and stylize and so forth your newer images. Utilities, that's just a section to manage your fonts, change the language and so forth. So you're probably not going to use this section as much unless you check for updates for the program. The Windows section is actually what you see. These are windows. Like this is a window, this is a window, this is a window, this is a window. So let's say, for example, I want to, if I accidentally click that. If I accidentally click the tools and I exit that, I'm like, oops, I want to get that back. Then you click on window, click on tools, and you see you can make it appear again. So if you lose that, don't worry. All you have to do is go under the tools section and then click on that. So as we can see right now, the tools, the history, the layers, the colors are all open. And you can do that too, but that's not necessary. Now, if you were using, of course, Adobe Photoshop and you clicked on Windows, you would see a large list of windows, like action scripts and this and that. But if you're trying to do the basic stuff, you're not really looking to, you know, create a website and this and that, and just do basic graphic editing, this is pretty much what I use, and I've been doing graphic editing for a long time. But in terms of something quick and easy to do that does not cost any money, this is a great tool. And what I like most about it is it has layers. Now let me go through each of these windows now that I've discussed to you basically this stuff here. This is the tools box, so you're going to use this tools box a lot. And if you've used even Paintbrush or even the basic paint, you know what these tools are all about. Well, with Paint.net, it actually goes beyond just basic tools. Like if I click on the rectangle here, you'll see these drop-down menus at the top. And if you click on that, you can see the list of tools, but you can also see like selection mode and this and that. So you have other abilities within that selection mode. So selection mode just means that, you know, you select something, kind of like what I did earlier. And then this here is just like a mouse cursor that allows you to drag and drop and move things around. And if you ever make a mistake, then you can click edit and undo. Or if you click Control Z, which is a shortcut I like to use, because let's say you make a bunch of mistakes and you want to go back. Another thing you can do is look at the history. For example, as you can see, watch carefully as I do stuff. As you can see, this is the history. So that means, like, if I want to go back, all the way back to the original, I just click on this. But if I want to go back to a specific point, I can just click that and so forth. And what I like about this tool is let's say that I go back and I said, no, oops, I accidentally did the wrong thing. I actually want to go back forward. So I click on that. So I get back to my place. So that's what I like about Paint.net. It's pretty neat. So the history is a very useful tool if you make a mistake and if you want to revert back or forth, then that's the beauty of that. So that's that. The lasso tool basically allows you to, as you can see, draw around a shape, and we'll be using this to kind of remove a background and so forth. This tool is move selection, so it allows you to move things around and so forth. This tool here it's an ellipse, basically a circle. and you can select an area. So you can make a circle, you can make an oval, you can make an egg, and so forth. And if you want to move that selection around, you can move that with using this. Magic wand tool, if you're not familiar with the magic wand tool, we'll actually use that more when we actually create stuff. But the magic wand tool is a highly used tool. Let's say you want to select an area, like there's a person here and you want to select the background around them. The magic wand tool helps you to do that in combination with the lasso select tool. And this here allows you to pan back and forth. This of course allows you, it's the bucket, so as you can see, you can change colors and so forth. Gradient basically allows you to create gradients. So you have solid colors and then you can have gradients here. So let's say, for example, I just wanted this piece over here. So I could take the lasso tool and just take that out here. I could do something like crop selection, and there we go. So that's a gradient tool. This is the paintbrush. This of course allows you to paint. And this of course allows you to erase. And of course you can increase the brush if you want to, simply by going up here. So if you've noticed a pattern here, every time I choose an option, you want to look at the top here because there might be other options up here. This is the pencil tool, basically like the paintbrush, but it makes it thinner. This gives you the ability to pick colors on the page. So right now it's white, but let's say for example that I fill it in with this color and then I make this color into, let's see, yellow. And then if I were to use this color picker tool and it was that color and I wanted to make it this color, all I would have to do is click on it and then it would turn whatever I point my color picker to, it would turn that color into that color. So then I can use that color. This is the clone stamp. Basically just clones the areas. Recolor gives you the ability to recolor areas, but we won't use these tools as much. This is the text tool, of course, which gives you the ability to create text and so forth. This gives the ability to create lines and curves. This gives the ability to create rectangles. You can create bigger rectangles, smaller rectangles, and so forth. You can create the color of the rectangle, whether it's a filled shape, an outline, and so forth. And these right here are just a bunch of other shapes. So we talked about the history, we talked about the tools, we talked about colors indirectly by showing you how to use it, and layers, we'll talk more about layers later on. But as you can see here, this is one layer here. Layers will make your life a lot easier. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's very, very simple to use. So with that said, let's move on to video number 4.